World War II is changing quite a bit of what we've known from Call of Duty for the past couple of years. Perks, kill cams, game modes, you name it. There's been a lot of stuff that's come out already from the gameplay that's been debuted at E3 and what myself and other YouTubers have been putting up that kind of showcase a little bit of the changes coming to World War II. Some of which may be very good to you, some of which you might not be looking forward to that much, but one change in particular that I want to talk about because it is a lot of different theory and talk being thrown around about it is the air quote create a class system, that being divisions, how the air quote perks work, and things like that. So we're gonna be breaking that down here in this one, giving you guys everything you need to know, and hopefully clarifying the air a little bit for you guys if you guys were a little bit confused on it and what to think perhaps of it. So that said, I want to detail a little bit about what we have so far within the division system, give you guys everything that there is to know about the skills and the division trainings, and then also with the basic trainings, we'll run down all that kind of stuff as well here for you too. But firstly, let's jump into the division skills and training. We're gonna jump in with the infantry to start out here with this one, and that skill is the bayonet charge. It's a special training on the use of the bayonet, which makes infantry riflemen a threat at all ranges, and while sprinting, you can press R3 to activate it. This will act as your melee with this, but instead of pulling out a secondary knife or something similar like that, you're going to just use the bayonet attached to your rifle. This is then followed by the division training of infantry, which while there are progressions for each, so meaning that when you start out in the beginning, say in the beta or the full launch of the game, what we played was the fully leveled up versions, or at least I can only imagine since we started at the third level and third tier of these trainings. So this one is the infantry 3 and therefore probably has lesser components to it as you work to progress up to that third level. But the third one had 2 extra attachments on primary weapons and 1 attachment on secondary weapons as well. The second division is airborne, which has a skill of attaching a suppressor or silencer onto your weapon as well, with the division training of Pathfinder, which allows you to sprint for longer distances, increase sprint speed, and climb over obstacles faster. Followed then by the armored division, which has a skill of a bipod, which of course allows you to just deploy that so you have less recoil and a little bit more stability on your LMG. The division training is tanker, which is a rocket launcher as a secondary weapon and an extra piece of equipment, as well as you can throw that equipment faster. The mountain division has a sharpshooter skill, which will black out surroundings as somebody aims in and holds their breath, and that then gives you the ability to have the aim assist as well as see enemy names as well on top of this. The division training allows you to acquire enemy names from farther away, increases the minimap coverage, and allows you to be hidden to player-controlled streaks. Now, the final division is the Expeditionary Force division, and that skill is the Incendiary Shells, which again allows shotguns to load incendiary rounds which spark flames and burn enemies. This is something that, once again, you have to just press the left arrow similar to that of the silencer to load these up. The division training then is extra magazines and immune to shell shock and tactical equipment, and then it also takes less explosive damage. So by these, you can start to maybe follow that there are specific skill sets and specific attributes for each of these class sets. So your SMGs, LMGs, ARs, shotguns will have set parameters and attributes directly tied to them. Now, one thing that is interesting and one thing that definitely will be a question mark moving forward is if some of these attributes tied specifically to these weapons kind of hinder your playstyle if you pick up other weaponry. So for example, say you're using the airborne SMG class loadouts. Perhaps this is something that if you pick up a sniper to maybe duel as your secondary, is this then going to hinder your ability as not having the ability to black out the scope or show those names in your reticle? Is it something that's going to be changed about? Right now, we don't have any idea, but it's something that definitely is intriguing to think about because it almost sets these perma perks, if you want to put it that way, for each of the divisions. But with those division skills and training out of the way and hopefully understood a little bit further, this then introduces the air quote new perk system in Call of Duty World War II. This is something that there are perks essentially, but they're redefined and relabeled, and the meta of such is completely changed about. So you're still going to be able to have some of the effects that perks would normally give you, but perhaps just not in the same exact way that you're entirely used to. This is where we introduce the basic training system within Call of Duty World War II, which is a combination of 5 different tiers seemingly here at this one. There are blue, green, orange, red, and purple ribbons that denote some different, what I would imagine, classification of these, and they're all interchangeable, it seems like, here with this. Whereas the division skill and training, those don't change at all from class to class. The basic training do change out, so seemingly Interestingly, you can change out any of these to maybe stick to those 5 categories, but you can switch out which ones you want. This is where it then once again starts to play on the different meta, because each of these different basic trainings have different attributes attached to them, and there are some crossover. But before we get too far into that, let's just detail the basic training air quote perks for you guys in detail and show you guys what everything was available to us at E3 for this version of the game. Firstly, there was Steady, which would allow you to be immune to shell shock and tactical equipment and sprint for longer distances. Then there was Hunker, which reveals enemy equipment and takes less explosive damage, followed by Smoke, which is an extra piece of lethal equipment, and smoke grenades as a tactical equipment. And then it also had Phantom, which was quieter movement, which allows you to take no fall damage and also makes you invisible to enemy recon aircraft while moving. So then it then is followed by Loaded, which gives you extra magazines and the ability to reload weapons faster. Then Scoped, which allows you to move faster while aiming down sights with an extra attachment on your primary weapon. Undercover was then next, which allows you to kill without revealing enemy death locations and no name or reticle color when targeted by enemies. Then was Forage, which allows you to swap weapons faster, throw equipment faster, and also resupply ammo and equipment from dead enemies. Then was Ordnance, which allows score streaks to cost less, and you can also re-roll care packages with this. Finally then was Duelist, which allowed you to have 2 attachments on your secondary weapon. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, a lot of these details for these air quote basic training perks do already sound very familiar to perks that we've had in the past. And now this is where we start to get into the interesting part and where it really changes the meta and definitely will change how Create a Class works and how players choose what they need, because there are some crossovers depending on the different division that you end up choosing. So such things including the infantry training is 2 secondary attachments. That is the Duelist training or air quote perk. The airborne training has an ability to sprint for longer distances, that being the division training, but that also then is a feature that is in the Steady basic training perk. The armored division training has the ability to throw an extra piece of equipment, which then equals the smoked basic training, and it also has the ability to throw equipment faster, which is a part of the forge basic training. Then the mountain division training allows players to be hidden by controlled streaks, which is somewhat similar to Phantom, though it's not player controlled, it's more so recon aircraft only. Then finally, the Expeditionary Force Division training has 3 ones that are actually completely the same as some basic training. Firstly, that being the extra magazines, which is the loaded basic training. It is then also immune to shell shock, which is the steady basic training. And then you can also take less explosive damage, which is the hunker basic training. So as you can see, a lot of this does have crossover between the division skill and the division training, on top of then whatever you end up choosing for the basic training air quote perk that actually is interchangeable within each of these classes. So it's definitely going to change the meta and how players choose what they want to put on their classes, because either you waste something part of your division training while also keeping it with that basic training, you lose one in that crossover, or you can utilize it and essentially get an extra perk if you want to put it that way. But when it comes down to it, you're essentially going to have 2 locked perma perks if you want to put it that way, a division skill, which gives you a little bit of an overall certain attachment or advantage in some way, shape, or form that is a staple for that division, and then the division training also is something that you'll be able to level up from level 1 to presumably 3 in terms of that, but that will also grant you more things as time goes on. But then the basic training is where the air quote perks lie and where you can change those out, presumably. So that said, hopefully this gives you guys some clarity here on how this works. I know there's been a lot of confusion in terms of how the Create a Class system works, how divisions work entirely, and so I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of my piece, a little bit of my understanding here with this one, and hopefully it came across as clear as possible and helps you guys out going into maybe the beta later down the line, or even further at the full release of the game. But that said, that's gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of divisions? Do you think it's a cool little change out for the Create a Class system, or do you think it's something that makes it a little bit worse? Feel free to drop whatever it may be down there in the comment section down below. No right or wrong answer, but if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel as well, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything regarding World War II, Black Ops 3 multiplayer, and Zombies Chronicles, Modern Warfare Mastered, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to share up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said and out of the way, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Nikolai Espresso. Take care and peace.